creating the time to come and share, your heart with us here at 729 K Pulpit. Siyabonga. Firstly, I'd like
Thank you.
you to get into your story by giving us a bit of a background as to who is Xola Dekeda. What kind of family was Xola raised in? What is your educational background? What are the things that you enjoy doing so that we can get to know you a little bit better?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. My name is Xola Dekeda, as you have mentioned. I come from a small town, a village in the Eastern Cape. It's called Ngamakwe. It's known of its circles. I grew up there. I'm coming from a family that was running businesses, and my mother was a teacher at Blythswood Institution. She was also a preacher of the word of God, preaching around the country. But back then, female preachers were not really that recognized at the time. But she was doing that. So basically, I'm coming from a Christian background. That's my background with principles and rules. But because she was not living with my father, they were in separation, not divorced, but separated. So on my father's side, it was a different story. It was not the same like on my mother's side, but I grew up on my mother's side. But as I was growing older and older, when the time of going to the mountains for circumcision, that's when I started to join my father's side on more permanent basis, I would say, changing the sides because now it was a stage where I was looking forward to meet girls, and my life was changing actually from the Christian, values to start, the peer pressure of friends. But we'll talk about that later. Um, I matriculated at Blythswood, and then I went to study at Ukhanyiselo Technical College, where I did the ends, electrical engineering. I further went to Al Sultan to study for the diploma in electronic engineering, of which I dropped out because of what we're going to talk about, the alcohol.
Yeah.
I then further my studies when I was a surveyor at PPT to do PC engineering. So I completed that one. I worked for many companies. I think in all the 9 provinces I've worked, but because I was getting fired. But my first job was in Mozambique, where I was a cathodic protection surveyor for 2 years there. But my contract was not renewed because of alcohol. I went to also I was also a learner plant operator in Marikana. For those who know me, I did not finish my learnership. I think I was left only with 4 months when people they know a plant in Giavuteli. So I was always even if you were drunk the day before yesterday, if the alcohol is still in your system, when you blow there, it will catch you because it was a 0% no zone alcohol. So it was a struggle for me because every time when I was coming from my leave, which is the 7 days, we're working 3 weeks, then 7 days off. From that 7 days, every time I'll be caught up there and then I'll be told to go and the warning would come. So until the warnings and the warnings and the warnings, so I did not finish that one. So I lost many opportunities. I worked. I did. I worked for companies in Joburg where I was a technician, a CCTV technician. Back then, there were few companies who were actually doing that back then. And we were working in big companies like Coca-Cola and the hospitals. But that's where I got actually my experience. Again, I was a good technician because I was brilliant by nature, but the problem with me was alcohol. I
Mm,
would get,
mm,
uh, the bosses would love me because of my intelligence and everything, but
mm,
everything that was messing me around was alcohol.
mm,
So I ended up, okay, when my parents died,
mm.
my mother was always praying for me and she was a backup for me, even every downfall that I had.
Yeah.
And I knew that I would go back home and my mother
Mm,
would be there for me. I'll start again over, go find another work. As I've
mm.
just mentioned that I worked almost in every province,
Yeah.
whether
Mm,
months or 4 months or 6 months or a
mm,
year or 2 years, because
mm,
that's what I was actually doing. And I would leave the job. So when
mm.
she died, I believe this is what I believe that there was no one who was praying for me anymore.
The covering wasn't there.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Oh,
You know
this is what
what?
happened.
Ola, I want you to explain to us, at that time when you are leaning towards alcohol, what emotions are you suppressing? Why do you find it easy to, go grab a bottle of beer and just drink it, until you're drunk? What is happening in your mind and in your heart when you are relying fully on alcohol?
Okay, first of all, it starts as a hobby. Even for me, I was very young. I was still in high school. It was something cool, because we were looking at some of the people that we admired, and the only thing they said, the way they celebrated, it was through alcohol.
Mm,
And I think it's something that is actually happening right now. You would
yeah.
check the ads that are there on TV. They will never take like a hobo there and put it on the ad. They will always put, beautiful ladies, people who drive in nice cars. And it was the same case whereby you look at successful people and how they enjoy themselves and the cars that
Mm,
they're driving, and sometimes the girls that they have, and you are inspired by the wrong things. And that's how I
mm,
actually got into this without going further about that. But it goes to, alcohol is addictive. That's the thing. At first, you drink and you control it, but as time goes by, it controls you.
yeah.
Because by the time I was at tertiary, I was already out of hand. It was out of hand for me
Sure.
because these are the things that I've actually written in my book. There
Mm,
was a semester which I was not even studying. My mother was not aware of that,
mm,
and she was sending money for me to go to school for transport, for the flat that I was renting and everything. And she
sure.
didn't even know that I was actually not studying at that time. And
Mm,
not only that, when I was at Umbilo Technical College, it was actually like a gap year because I had failed at Sultan, the bridging course. So instead of me telling her the truth that I have failed, I went to do those ends at Umbilo Technical College so that I can go back to Sultan again without her knowing.
sure.
So you see, those are the things that actually,
Yeah. It's like a spiral
uh,
now starts to happen in your life.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
And when I dropped out, remember I had the certificates of electrical engineering, even if I didn't finish at Sultan Technical.
mm,
So I could apply. So I was employed to go and learn the cathodic protection surveys, which took me to Mozambique. Now, the thing with that was that I had this problem of alcohol and also earning a big money outside the country, and when during the holidays, I would come back from Mozambique with, fancy clothes, money, that I was not responsible for anything. I was not responsible for anything at home. You come back with that sum of money, and it's all for drinking spree during December, the
Mm.
whole of December. So it started as something that I how would I say it? It was fun at first, I would
Mm.
say, because I was drinking something that I was affording at first. The I would drink whiskey, and it gave me a class among girls and everything and everything. But the thing about it is that now the more you get addicted and addicted, you're no longer drinking what you like. You drink what is in front of you,
Mm. Mm.
what other people can offer, because now it starts, you don't have money all the time. So what happened to me is that instead, like most people, they start with a job that pays less, and then they would gradually earn
Gradually,
more.
yes. Mm.
Actually, to me, it was a vice versa.
You started being a money spender, a muregi, and then you went
Yes,
down.
yes, because remember, I was a surveyor outside the country. I
Mm.
had two salaries: my basic salary and the one that I was earning because I was out of the country.
Mm.
So because of that, and we had so many bonuses and we had so many allowances. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? So uh, at that time, when now I looked for other jobs, the money was getting less and lesser, and until to the
Mm.
point whereby I would take anything that comes along, because I didn't want to stay at home.
Sure.
So yeah, so that was was happening until my mother died.
Mm.
And now, what happened was that I want to get to the point of your actual question.
Mm.
When she died, I was retrenched this time. I was not fired,
Mm.
because I knew very well that if I mess up in this job,
Yeah.
there is no backup.
Mm.
But something happened that now was not my fault.
Mm.
I was retrenched, and people that were retrenched were the last to come.
Mm.
And I had to go back. But guess what? Alcohol robbed me again,
Mm.
because I was so clever at work. Even though we were retrenched, my boss said, not Ukola.
Wow.
They can be retrenched to all, not Ukola.
Mm.
We were retrenched because the company bought a new building. So they spent so much funds in the new building. So they cut the staff. That was the reason of the retrenchment.
Mm.
So what I did was that on the so I was gonna sign a new contract, because I was already retrenched, so I was gonna sign a new contract. So I was asked on a Saturday to go and pack our control room and do all the stuff right. So I was given people that were going to help me on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But guess what? On that Saturday, the Chiefs and Pirates were playing. So
So you had to go and have a good time.
so I got drunk on a Friday and I didn't go there. And yeah, the boss was so furious.
Oh my
Kola, I'm giving
goodness.
you a second chance. I'm giving you, and you have not even signed the contract, but you are messing up.
Ah.
All the people that came to assist you were at work on Saturday. Only you,
Mm.
who was going to lead the team, you were not there.
Mm.
So so she said to me, "I, Kona, you are not signing the contract,
Oh my
so
goodness.
don't
Sure.
don't come back."
You know,
So
Xola,
that was
you've mentioned the passing of your mom twice now in our conversation. I think that was very significant for you. I think you also mentioned, the covering of prayer, and I think that you probably had a very close relationship as well, and the fact that you also come from a Christian home played a very big role in your turning point. And I want you to take us there now. At which point do you turn around? Do you find God. Describe those moments for us and the encounter that you had.
When I came back to, are you asking you when the time when I came back to God the second time, I'm on my own?
Yes, you're on your own now. Mom has passed, and you are addicted to alcohol. How do you come back to God? How do you find, your path again?
Yeah, actually, this is what happened. After my mother passed away, I didn't get any job. I would apply, I was so serious. I got
Mm,
frustrated, and I knew that deep down in my heart, I wanted the job. And if I get the job,
mm,
I would make sure that I don't mess up this time.
mm,
So frustration came. 1 year passed. I didn't get any job. On the second year now, as umahlalela,
mm,
yeah, I lost I lost it. I lost it because now I was singing in my time. The clothes that I was wearing were clothes that were bought a year that time in Johannesburg.
mm.
Things, you would look at your techies, they used to be that label, but now you see, you see that you are holding on 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 the past, and everyone like is looking down at you. Is it not that the guy that used to get straight A's at school?
Mm,
Is not the guy the sign of London? Yeah, I lost it, and I
mm,
was drinking every day. I did not want to think about it. I did not want to, I drank every day. I was sleeping
mm,
in taverns. 6 o'clock in the morning, I was in the tavern. I tried to commit suicide 3 times
mm,
in that year, in that era.
mm,
But thank be to God, because when I could not succeed
mm,
in killing myself,
mm,
the the thing that happened was that now, okay, if I'm not succeeding about all these thoughts that are within me,
mm.
what do I have? I, this is the part now when the thoughts, if you know the story of the prodigal son in the Bible,
Yeah.
well, this is what I said now. How was I? You know, this there is a way that my mother brought me up. I was raised on a certain. Why do I not go to church?
Mm,
Why do I not go to God, whom my mother introduced me to when I was young? So it's a decision that I made on my own. And I said, you know what? Like the prodigal son. So suka ndiye kubawo, ndithi bawo ndonile. And I remember that day when I came to church. I I didn't even care what the preacher was preaching, or what was the text, or what was the sermon about. I was just waiting for that time when they say, those who want to receive Christ must come.
you are ready to put up your hand.
Uh,
Mamkelu
for
yes,
me,
njengenkosi nomsindisi.
yeah. So for me, it was not. If you can ask me what was the text or anything, I don't know, because I was just waiting for that moment.
My
And
goodness.
it came, and I was the only one.
Yes, Lord.
And yeah, from there, I understood that I was in a big problem now, because I've taken a decision, and there's a force that is going to fight with me, and it did. And that's when I remember the one of the pastors in Cape Town. That's how I came to Cape Town, who was close to my mother, who was actually mentored by my mother. So I gave him a call, and I came to him in Cape Town. I still had a problem of alcohol when I came to him. And the turnaround was in the tent when I voluntarily asked to be a guard in the tent. I
Mm,
wanted to be away from everyone. I
mm,
wanted to be away from everything. And that's when things started to happen. That is why sometimes I tell people, if they think that there's no God, there's no devil, they can argue and argue. But for me, who has experienced everything staying
sure,
in that tent, I have experienced witchcraft in the highest order.
sure.
I have experienced the power of God in the highest order. I have experienced to be baptized, by the Holy Spirit. I have
Mm,
seen things. I have seen evil
mm,
in the highest order. So for that year, I was applying, but I did not get any job, and I even stopped applying. But what happened was that I read the Bible, I think three
Mm.
times from Genesis to Revelation.
Mm.
So that was my transformation, staying in a tent for a year, experiencing who God is, and also experiencing the attack of by the witches and everything, which okay, we're not going to talk about it now, but all
Mm.
these things are there. And you know, when I was a guard in the tent, I was trained to be humble. My life changed, the perspective of things
Mm.
changed. There's not even a single day where I did not eat because all the brethren were bringing food, breakfast, lunch, and you know, from different homes. And for me, it was like something new to experience. And that is
Mm.
why today I'm leading an organization that is called Outreach for Christ and is feeding
Mm.
1,500 people twice a month
Mm.
with the help of sponsors. Because from
Wow.
that, I understood that there are people out there who are not eating. So
Mm.
many things were birthed out of in for me by me staying in that tent.
Mm.
So yeah, my mind was renewed.
Mm.
I understood who God was. I understood who people were. Everything changed.
Sure.
And and you know what? The power of God was manifested
Mm.
because I received a call saying I was looking for a job, and funny enough, I did not apply. I did not do anything, and I went to this interview. When I got there, I was the only black person. And when I was interviewed, it was the position was very senior
Mm.
to my knowledge. And during the interview, I just said, stop, 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 stop. I, I don't know what you are talking about here. This is what I know. Can I tell you what I know? Because these things that you are asking me, I don't know. And they laughed. And I explained what I did. Then after I explained, I said, the job that you are asking me for is very senior to me. All I
Mm.
want, can you teach me from the junior level to what you are doing here? And guess what? I got the job that day.
Wow. Wow. Sure.
I, by just being honest, and
The
I was the
humility.
only yes, and by the grace of God, I was the only black technician there in that company. Okay, I won't mention it. I won't
Mm.
mention it.
The name of the company, please.
Yeah. So because it's here in Cape Town. And guess what? People, when I got the car allowance, my laptop, my cell phone, and people were like, "Hypo, is it the guy who used to guard the tent?" And you know, they were surprised because they only knew the version of me being a guard and the humble guy.
Mm.
They did not know my past about being a surveyor in Mozambique and all those things,
Mm.
you know. And because I was just there being humble, I never told anyone I'm coming from a family that is affording and all that and all that and all that to business people, you know, because God was dealing with me. So yeah, and my life was transformed. I became a junior technician. I became a senior technician. I changed the job. Became in another company. I was the site supervisor for all the sites. Then from there, I opened my own company, and I'm here today.
I feel like, God gave you an opportunity to almost reintroduce yourself, to the
Oh yeah,
people in the community, the people in the church that you were attending, even to your own family, You
yeah.
had to go through that wilderness in order for you to be the man and the person that you are right now. So you wrote the book Alcohol Said No, but Grace Said Yes. But that is not the only book that you've written. You've written two other books. So what I want to know is if you could give us a brief overview of each of the books and how the reader can resonate with the books.
Okay, the first book was is called the Understanding the Teachings of Christ. It's a book that I actually took all the teachings from the book of Matthew. My aim was to simplify the meaning of the Word of God as far as I can. I
Mm.
had this thing that, you know, I was listening to many preachers, Remember when I was in the tent, I read so many books. I read the Bible, as I said earlier before. I
Mm,
read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, I think 3 times.
mm,
And I was praying, reading other books as well. And
mm,
I was a reader. Remember, whole year I was doing nothing.
mm,
So for me, when I listened to some of the preachers there, I felt that they were complicating the simplicity of things. When that is why I'm saying understanding the teachings of Jesus Christ, because
mm,
for me, Jesus is all this teaching is about a simple living of love,
mm,
kindness, righteousness. All the other things that we try to put as a burden, they are actually, if we can try to understand the center of Jesus' teaching, you'll find that it's us living in harmony with each other and in a good relationship with God. That is the
mm,
fundamental of everything. It's not about who's better than other. It's not about who can do explosive things than other and
mm,
all those things. So if we can start by the simplicity of what Jesus is teaching, the love, the forgiveness, the righteousness, how do we live with each other? How do we represent Christ on earth?
come on.
So it was coming from that, because the more we come with the more complex things, we are complicating things and we become divided because we understand things in different ways. But if we can understand that it's all about, because Jesus says, this is how the world is going to know you, if you love each other. If we can just bring it down to the simplicity, the word of God. So that book is about that, the first one. So the second book, it says, Word became flesh. This is the message that I'm preaching wherever I go, because for me, being transformed from being an alcohol addict to be who I am now has made me to be an evangelist. To be an evangelist, it means that I cry for the lost souls. I cried for those who were lost like me. So what now the center of my message is the cross, to understand what Jesus did and what he has done. That is why sometimes, believe me, I get so angry when people, when they preach, they're swearing at people that you are a whore, you are a prostitute, you are a drunkard, you are a what? Because the center of it is that it's not their fault. They were born to this world as sinners. And when they were born, they did not choose to be sinners. It is because of one man who disobeyed. Because of one man's disobedience, everyone is born into that. They do not choose to be caught up in sin. They do not teach, no one teaches them to sin, but sin is in their nature. But what is the good news? The good news that there is a man who became flesh. The word became flesh so that he may die on the cross. The good news is that though the sin that abazalelwe kuyo, if there is the forgiveness of those sins, they can be free of that bondage and their mind be renewed and have a relationship with God. So it's based on that thing that we need to understand that there is a solution, that is the cross. And everyone out there is in bondage of sin, whatever that is happening in people's lives. They do not choose to be drunkards. They do not choose to be prostitutes. They do not choose all these things that are happening. They are born into the messed up life that is already here. And they need a preacher to tell them that there is a solution to this mess of the sin that was caused by Adam. So that the second book is about that. That book now is about my real life, to say, let's stop looking at Matthew and John talking about Jesus, but let's look about how Jesus transformed my own life, where I'm coming from, and what he has done for me. That now the person whom could not hold jobs, the person that was sleeping in taverns, the person that had no name, the person that had no dignity, is now owning a business that is not only just a business, but an MTN partner, Stream Group partner, and Mia Telecom partner, and is actually growing and growing by each year. A person that had no name is now leading an organization that is preaching around the country. A person that had no name has written books and is actually speaking in the radio as we speak.
Incredible. It goes to show that uThixo is able to turn
Yeah.
around ubomi bomntu. Uh, I want you to give advice for family members that are struggling with other family members that may be addicted to alcohol. From your experience, what is needed? How can families support those that are addicted, in order to get them to the other side?
Okay. First of all, I'll say they need my book. My book will actually
Perfect.
guide them very well. Okay. Uh, One thing about people who are addicted uh, is they know that they are addicted. They know they are not drinking because they love. They make decisions every time they are sober that I'll not touch this thing because I've messed up or this thing is like this. And sometimes others are sick. They're like me. I was having pains in my stomach. I was vomiting blood, but I would go back again because I was a slave to alcohol. So for me, people who were swearing at me were not even helping me, actually. Were just making me to be more miserable and actually wanting to get out of that place of condemnation and go to the people whom I would love and give me alcohol. So the first weapon is to love people and not to condemn them. To the people who are actually affected, which is they want to release themselves, the first thing is to admit that you have a problem. And by getting a solution is not a sign of weakness, but is a sign of being strong and courageous. Once you admit that you need help, now, there are different ways for people to get help, but on my personal journey, the rehab that I got was to actually give my life to Christ. I know there are many rehabs, they use many systems and they have many ways. But for me, when I gave my life to Christ, I did not use my own strength and power. Wisdom came from me, and for by me uh, uh, praying and being transformed, I got rid of the cravings and everything. But what I can give others is this: stop going to places that will provoke your thirst. Stop going with people that you know they will give you what you don't want anymore. It is not, you came in this world alone. To start new friends, or even you cannot leave your friends. You can live for a while until you are strong enough to say no when you're around them. Like myself, I had to be away from everyone for a period of 2 years until I could go back to the people that I used to drink. And when they were laughing at me and when they tried to give me alcohol, I was strong enough to say no. So, in other words, isolate yourself. If you have to go somewhere else and
Mm.
leave the area that provokes or triggers your thirst.
Mm.
That is my advice.
Ngamafutshane, Xola, I'm very sorry ngenxa yamaxesha siyaphelelwa lixesha. What legacy would you like to leave behind as Xola Dekeda?
People to know Christ,
Mm.
and if I can reach many people to know Christ, because that is the most fundamental thing. You can gain the whole world,
Mm.
but if you lose your soul, on this earth. And secondly, I'm building a company that not only when I am not here, it will die with me, but it will continue
Mm.
to be a blessing to others. The name of my company is Ukhanyiselo Technologies. The word Ukhanyiselo means to bring light to poverty, to bring light to places of darkness, to bring light where there is no hope.
Mm.
So that name has to be left behind as a light that will bring, people out of poverty, that will
Mm.
bring hope to people. So that is exactly what I want to leave behind.
Mm. Awesome. Siyabulela kakhulu. How can our audience get through to you if they would like to have a conversation with you? Uh, would like you to come and preach at their church, or I don't know, speak and motivate, or just to be involved in the programs that you run currently in the community?
Okay. They can get me WhatsApp 071 006 9549. 071 006 9549 WhatsApp ndiyafumaneka, and na ku xoladekeda@gmail.com ndiyafumaneka nakhona. If you email me Xola Dekeda, Facebook ndinguXola Dekeda Ukhanyiselo. I'm also there on Facebook, Xola Dekeda Ukhanyiselo.
Thank you so much. Yanga uThixo ngayandisa imihla yakho emhlabeni. May you continue to be the light that shines in a world that is filled with darkness. And may God bless the work of your hands, and may He extend your territory when it comes to your business, when it comes to the work that you're doing in terms of evangelism. uThixo aqhubekeke asebenze ebomini bakho and pour into you. Enkosi kakhulu. Thank you very much for your
Thank you
time.
very much. Thank you very much, my leader.
God bless you and good night. Bye bye. Right, family, it is that time for us now to go straight.